and welcome to Blue Team Toolbox. I'm your host, Edith Price. This week, we'll get familiar with Python's idle. As usual, I will post links for cracking codes with Python, our guide in this series, in the show notes. To follow along in this video, you'll already need to have Python installed in your machine. We've covered how to do this in a previous video, and I'll link that below. Okay, let's play. Step 1. Open idle. This was covered in the same video as how to install Python. Step 2. Some simple math. Type 2, the plus key, followed by a number 2, followed by another 2, and then press enter or return depending on your keyboard. Python will add 2 and 2. We can also subtract using the minus key, multiply, and divide. These keys are called operators. Step 3. The differences between types of numbers. Whole numbers like 5, 0, and 102 are called integers, often shortened to int. Decimal numbers like 2.2, 0.148, and 9.0 are called floating point numbers, often shortened to float. Integers and floating points are referred to as data types. Every value has a data type, and we'll learn more as we progress through cracking codes. Let's do a couple more math problems in the shell. All of these are examples of expressions. You can make them long, use multiple operators, or put spaces between the value and the operator. The catch here is you cannot put a space at the beginning of the expression. Python handles spaces at the beginning of a line a little bit different. Step 4. Python uses
the order of operations
when evaluating expressions. Therefore, parentheses will be evaluated first, followed by multiplication and division, then adding and subtracting. Something to note, when Python evaluates an expression by dividing, the result will be a float, even if you use integers throughout the entire expression. If you mix floats and integers, the result will be a float. Step 5. You can store a value into a word. In programming speak, this is called a variable. For this, we'll need the assignment operator. Here's an example. Think of our word as a box that's holding our number. Notice that when we press enter this time, our shell doesn't return anything. As long as you get a prompt for more input, you can be fairly sure that Python accepted the assignment. Now check this out. When we use a variable like this, we're telling Python we want to store the result of the expression into the variable. It doesn't hold the expression, only the result, because a variable can only hold one value. Let's play with this concept for a minute. Step 6. The variable will hold its value until it is prompted to change it. So our box will throw away the old value for the new one. You can even use the variable itself to change its own value. Something to keep in mind is what variable you choose to give your value. The computer won't care what the variable is. However, it's good practice to use words that are relative to your code. Something you think is clever now can have you scratching your head later when you return to that project. Also,